we are down to just 1 pint of ground beef. And of course, again, it's dry canned. There's nothing added to it. We like it. We come in from kayaking and decide we want to make a quick beef stroganoff. If we're not using tenderloin, then we can make a very delicious ground beef stroganoff. We can whip up tacos very quickly, and the flavor of this is just fantastic. It is not mealy. It is not any different than regular hamburger that you would have cooked up. But how much easier it is to just make tacos when you open one of these, get it hot in a skillet, add my own taco seasoning, a little bit of water, boom, you have dinner right there. So I'm going to can these up, and first thing I'm going to do, of course, is brown this ground beef. So today I got some ground beef on sale, actually yesterday. So I'm going to can, or dry can, 3 pints, I have 3 pounds here, of ground beef. I always make a note when I'm canning so that I know I need 1 inch of headspace. For my area, I'm going to do it 10 pounds, and because I'm doing pints, they'll be 75 minutes. I'm also this afternoon going to can up some bacon in some quarts with parchment paper. But we are very happy with canned ground beef. You definitely must pressure can any kind of meat that you do. So make sure you do your own research. I am just a mouse. I've been canning my own meat for years, but do your own research and do what you're comfortable doing. Of course, if you can get extra lean, it's better, but whatever kind of hamburger you have, after this is brown, I'm going to drain off as much grease as I can, of course, with a spoon. Most people then pour it through a colander, let all the grease run out that's in there. I go a step further and I use this little hand strainer, and I will slowly add some of the beef to this, and I actually run hot water over it to get any remaining fat out of it. Doesn't hurt anything, then I throw this in the dishwasher. It ain't hard, it's just canning, but you have to use a pressure canner. I also make a note when I'm pressure canning. When I vent, I have the small Presto for 10 minutes. I then write down, of course, I set a timer for the 75 minutes I'm going to process it at. But more than that, I write the time down, as I had a timer die in the middle of pressure canning one day. And as you know, when it drops below pressure, you would have to start all over. Well, I didn't know how much time was left, so I had to start all over, and in that case, I was doing sausage in quarts and some hot dogs, I think. So I had to start all over, so that was a little frustrating. So I always write my time down just in the event I have an untimely timer death. So that's how I roll with canning beef. And of course, I need sterilized pint jars, which I already have clean. I'm not going to can this while it's warm, so I don't have my pressure can on here getting hot. Once I drain this and run the water off, I'll let the meat get cool, then I'll put it into the jars. If I were doing it hot, I would need my jars hot, so I did not risk breaking those jars when I added the hot meat to it. So the ground beef is cooked off, got a lot of grease in there, so it's not quite as lean as it said it would be. Now I'm going to set up to drain that through a colander, catch the grease in a bowl, then I'll move to the little hand strainer that I showed you. So I'm just going to start. I really like this little strainer or ladle. I got it from the Pampered Chef, someone who had an online party, and I absolutely love this. So I'm just going to begin to get the beef out of here. I can let a lot of grease run out the bottom, where I transfer into my colander that is sitting inside a bowl. I'm very surprised at the amount of fat that was in here. It's not quite as lean as they said it was, but it was still a great sale for like $3.27 for each pound. And I actually had 4 pounds, but my husband has decided he needs a pound of fresh. He doesn't want to use one of the many frozen that I have. He has to have fresh. So instead of 4 pints, I have 3. It's such is life. This is the old type colander, not calendar, that I was speaking about, that has much smaller holes than my newer one does. So I have degreased this with very hot water, and now I will pour that ground beef back in here, sit it over a bowl, see if I can get any more liquid or grease off of it before I can it. And then I'll come back to you when I'm ready to can it. I know it's a little bit crooked because I do not know what my tripod was up to last night, but there must have been a party because it is straight up crazy. The thing's like walking all over my countertop. So anyway, gonna load my pint jar. Only have 3 of them. As you see, I put it back in the strainer after running hot water over it. It'd be a colander again. Lacking the language again. I don't mind using this metal spoon to fill my funnel, but you don't, of course, use anything metal inside your jar. It's why I have the little Poke-Jo, little plastic thing, so that I don't cause any harm to my jar. And I carefully checked my jars first as well to make sure I didn't have any nicks. And I need an inch of head space. So let's get our little Poke-Jo. Let's see what we can get. You still act like you're getting air out of it just like you would if you were doing chicken broth or pieces of chicken or vegetable stew, chili, whatever. You can get some more there. Check it good. Very important to get the headspace right. We have to be as safe as we can. And like I said earlier, I'm not an expert at this. I'm just a mouse who cans. Check for your own pressure for your area. Look at your ball book. Look at other resources. I like to watch Bear Prepper on YouTube, BEXAR, PREPPER channel. It's where I learned to can bacon, and I really trust the things that she does, and she does really good videos to give you a very good visual on actually what's happening. So I have 2 more to go. I'm not using Tatler lids. I'm using the regular lids and rings, so I'll get these processed and show you what it looks like when it comes out of the pressure canner. First thing I do every single time that I can is inspect my top. As I said, this is the small Presto. I want to make sure that my emergency pop-up works. I want to make sure that this has not shrunk, the whatever you call that rubber ring around it. I want to make sure that everything on this is tight. I have had it happen where it wasn't tight at a friend's house, and we were waiting for this to pop up. It never did, and the second I touched it, it fell off inside. So I had to wait about 35 minutes before the pressure had dropped and it was safe enough to open it and then reassemble it, and of course it was hot. Most important thing to do in canning, and particularly meat, is every single thing that I use, from the spoon where I filled the funnel to the colander that I use, if you don't introduce bacteria here, you will not have any bacteria here. I don't pick up my jars and stick my finger in them. Of course, I wiped my rims with a paper towel and some vinegar, but the colander that I used, every single thing that I used, including the pot, I got a kettle of hot water and really sterilized first. Down to the Poke-Jo, and including my little magic wand to grab my lids. But if you will keep it extremely clean, I always have my countertop disinfected before I start. Just go the extra effort into making sure you have the most sanitary area that you can. So again, if you don't put bacteria in it, bacteria is not going to grow in it. So do that, of course, with all canning, but particularly with canning meat. Just be extremely cautious. Doesn't hurt to sterilize a colander. Doesn't hurt to make sure you have an extremely clean spoon that you may be using into your funnel, including the spoon that you're heating your meat with and draining off the grease as well. Just be extremely careful. Food storage is important. Safe food storage is epically important. Something else I thought of when I can, whether it's outside or inside, I do not leave this pressure canner. I'm in this live-in kitchen combination, and I make sure that I hadn't lost pressure. I want to make sure pressure doesn't go too high and I could have an issue. If somebody calls me on the telephone, I am not going to be chatting. I will simply text them and say, sorry, Canon, I don't want to be distracted by anything. So I stay totally focused on it. Got to turn this up a little bit, drop it a wee bit. And because nothing is more important than safety in this, and of course particularly with meat. So I just stay focused. We built this house, and I can actually see this from my recliner. Now there was a plan. A good one. I generally can outside, but it is so windy out on this tidal creek, it will knock you down. So I can't use my camp chef. So in this case, I do have to move my canner off of my super burner because it's too super, and all I do is lift it and put it in the back. I could not do this with the 23 quart if it had 2 levels in it. So anyway, my little rocker's rocking along, and I've got my timer set and also written down the time that I reach pressure, and in 75 minutes we'll take them out and get to here and get to pinging. Alrighty then, here they are processed and out of the canner. 2 of them have already pinged and just waiting for the one in the back to do its thing. But they look good. No siphoning. Nothing bad happened. And there's 3 pints of very good ground beef ready to go into food storage. Can't beat it.